Alright, it's time to begin my 200th episode. So, let's see what my subscribers want me to do. Well, like I mostly say, there's no way I can ignore a request that's Disney related. Cue the logo. Hey there everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Well everyone, today it's my 200th episode. So, what am I going to blog today? Well, let's take a look at our cult Disney films, shall we? For those who grew up throughout the 90s, Disney was on a roll during their legendary Renaissance era, ever since The Little Mermaid in 1989. Some folks I know, including myself, love to watch such classic Disney films like The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Lion King, Aladdin, Hercules, Pocahontas, Mulan, Beauty and the Beast, including the underrated Rescuers Down Under. But today's blog is not only the film that ended the Disney Renaissance, but it's a film that's also a childhood favorite of mine, and one that's considered the most expensive animated film ever made during the 90s. Released on June 16th, 1999, the movie is Tarzan. Now let's get started. In this Disney animated tale, the orphan Tarzan grows up in the remote African wilderness, raised by the gentle gorilla Koala. When a British expedition enters the jungle, Tarzan encounters the beautiful Jane Porter and recognizes that, like her, he's human. Falling in love with Jane, Tarzan is torn between embracing civilization and staying with his gorilla family, which becomes threatened by the ruthless hunter Clayton. So, what are my thoughts? Well, for being the last animated film of the Disney Renaissance, Tarzan was an absolute blast and rightfully deserves a standing ovation. But to further explain why I love this movie, let's move on to Mustang Notes. Now, Disney's Tarzan was the first Tarzan movie to be animated. Thomas Schumacher, the president of feature animation, expressed surprise that there weren't any previous attempts to animate a Tarzan film, saying, "Here is a book that cries out to be animated." Yet, we're the first filmmakers to have ever taken Tarzan from page to screen and presented the character as Burroughs intended. He noted that, in animated form, Tarzan is able to connect to the animals on a deeper level that he can in live-action versions. Following work on a Goofy movie in late 1994, Kevin Lima was approached to direct Tarzan by studio chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg, who desired to have the film animated at a Canadian-based satellite television animation studio, in which Lima was reluctant to do because of the animation complexities being done by inexperienced animators. Following Katzenberg's resignation from the Walt Disney Company, Lima was again contacted about the project by Michael Eisner, who decided to have the film produced through Feature Animation Division, by which Lima signed on. Following this, Lima decided to read Tarzan of the Apes, where he began to visualize the theme of two hands being held up against each other. That image became an important symbol of the relationships between characters in the film, and a metaphor of Tarzan's search for identity. Following his 2-month study of the book, Lima approached his friend, Chris Buck, who had just wrapped up work as a supervising animator on Pocahontas, to ask if he would be interested in serving as co-director. Buck was initially skeptical, but accepted after hearing Lyman's ideas for the film. By April 1995, the Los Angeles Times reported that the film was in its preliminary stages with Lyman and Buck directing, after Disney had obtained the story rights from the estate of Edgar Rice Burroughs. The animators were split into two teams, one in Paris and one in Burbank. The 6,000-mile distance and difference in time zones posed challenges for collaboration, especially for scenes with Tarzan and Jane. Glenn Keane was the supervising animator for Tarzan at the Paris studio, while Ken Duncan was the supervising animator for Jane at the studio in Burbank. To make coordinating scenes with multiple characters easier, the animators used a system called a scene machine that could send rough drawings between two animation studios. Meanwhile, 200 animators at the Feature Animation Florida Satellite Studio provided character animation and special effects animation, where the filmmakers had to discuss their work through daily video conferences among the three studios. Glenn Keane was inspired to make Tarzan surf through the trees because of his son's interest in extreme sports, and he began working on a test scene. The directors expressed concern that Tarzan would be made into a surfer dude, but when Keane revealed the test animation to them, they liked it enough to use it in the film during the Son of Man sequence. Although Keane initially thought that Tarzan would be easy to animate because he only wears a loincloth, he realized that he would need to fully working, human musculature while still being able to move like an animal. To figure out Tarzan's movements, the Paris animation team studied different animals in order to transpose their movements onto him. They also consulted with a professor of anatomy. This resulted in Tarzan being the first Disney character to accurately display working muscles. To prepare for animating the gorillas, the animation team attended lectures on primates, made trips to zoos, and studied nature documentaries, with a group of animators also witnessing a gorilla dissection to learn about their musculature. In 1996, the animation team went on a 2-week safari in Kenya to take reference photographs and observe the animals. On the trip, they visited Bwindi, a penetrable national park in Uganda, to view mountain gorillas in the wild and get inspiration for the setting. In 2000, Chris Buck repeated the journey, accompanied by journalists, to promote the film's home video release. In order to create the sweeping 3D backgrounds, Tarzan's production team developed a 3D painting and rendering technique known as deep canvas. This technique allows artists to produce CGI backgrounds that look like traditional paintings. According to art director Daniel St. Pierre, for this advancement, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences awarded the creators of Deep Canvas a Technical Achievement Award in 2003. Now, as for my thoughts on the animation, well, to me, the hand-drawn animation looks absolutely great, with how each character is drawn out. Also, in my opinion, the CGI used for the jungle backgrounds and the ocean looks really cool. Plus, it makes me feel like I'm watching a live-action movie sometimes. Great job, Disney. This movie has some humorous moments in it. Like, for example, the scene when Turk and Tantor use Jane and Professor Porter's clothes in order to keep Kojak occupied. Sad moments like when Koala shows Tarzan his family's treehouse and Kerchak's death. And intense moments like every time Kojak gets mad, and scenes where Sabor the leopard attacks. Even Tarzan's battle with Clayton is very intense. Now, here's where we come to the songs in the movie. Now, the songs for this film were written by Phil Collins, who also wrote songs for Brother Bear, and also got to voice Muck and Luck in Simon Wells' Balto, and got to voice Lucky in The Jungle Book 2. Most of the songs Phil wrote for Tarzan came from improvisation sessions and his reactions while reading the treatment. 3 of the songs he wrote, like Son of Man, Trashing the Camp, and Strangers Like Me, were based on his initial impressions after he read the source material. The 2 other songs were You'll Be in My Heart, a lullaby sung to Tarzan by Koala, and Two Worlds, a song Collins wrote to serve as the anthem for Tarzan during the film's beginning and ending. Anyway, now that we're done with Mustang notes, animation, and songs, let's move on to the characters and their voice actors. Our main hero, Tarzan, is voiced by Tony Goldwyn. Now, Tarzan is a man raised by gorillas who finds out he is truly human. In my opinion, Tarzan has got to be one of the most badass Disney heroes I've ever seen, next to Hercules, that is. Tarzan is an extremely brave, loyal, athletic, and honorable character. He cares deeply about his family and friends, and is willing to risk his life to save them. I also find it cool how Tarzan can communicate with animals just by mimicking their noises. Next is Tarzan's love interest, Jane Porter, an eccentric, kind, and intelligent lady from England, voiced by Minnie Driver, whom I know from Princess Mononoke, Ella Enchanted, South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and the 2004 Phantom of the Opera movie. Now, Jane is the first of her group to encounter Tarzan, and they eventually fall in love after she is rescued by Tarzan from a pack of baboons. Jane has a sense of standards. However, she tries to stay true to her roots as an Englishwoman, while also adapting to life in the jungle. In my opinion, Jane makes a great artist and a great teacher when teaching Tarzan how to speak English, as well as about human culture and life. Plus, I think she and Tarzan make a great couple. Fun fact, many of Driver's mannerisms and characteristics were incorporated into Jane's animation. The scene where Jane describes meeting Tarzan for the first time to her father and Clayton was improvised by Driver, resulting in Ken Duncan animating one of the longest animated scenes in record. Next is Tarzan's adopted mother, Kala, voiced by Glenn Close, who played Koala Devil in the 1996 101 Dalmatians film, the First Lady in Tim Burton's Mars Attacks, and Granny Puckett in Hoodwinked. Kala found and raised Tarzan not long after losing her last biological son to Sabor. I really like Kala. She's calm, gentle, kind, and loving, and I think she's the sweetest mother in Disney history. Next is Kojak, Kala's mate and leader of the gorilla troop, voiced by Lance Henriksen. When Kala takes Tarzan into the family, Kojak doesn't adjust properly to him since he is human. But after Tarzan kills Sabor, Kojak gives him his reluctant respect. And before he dies, he finally accepts Tarzan as his son and leaves him to lead the gorilla family. Next we have Clayton, an intelligent and suave, yet arrogant and treacherous hunter, voiced by Brian Blessed, who played El Supremo in Freddy as FR07, Judge Jawbreaker in Legends of Oz, and Boss Nash from Star Wars Episode 1. Clayton guides Jane and her father on their quest to study gorillas. Now, believe me when I say that Clayton is the very first unexpected Disney villain I've ever seen in a film. Well, next to Stinky Pete from Toy Story 2, that is. Because not too long after Tarzan introduces his gorilla family to Jane, Clayton reveals that his plan is to capture the gorillas and sell them to zoos in order to make money off of them. Next is Jane's father, Professor Archimedes Q. Porter, voiced by Nigel Hawthorne, whom I talked about before during my Black Cauldron blog. Sadly, this was Hawthorne's final voice acting role before his death in 2001. Now, Archimedes is an eccentric but well-meaning biologist who wants his daughter to be happy. He also has a strong paternal side, and he has had a good relationship with Tarzan, but also seems to be slightly paranoid. Next up is Tarzan's best friend, Turk, voiced by Rosie O'Donnell. Turk is a smart-aleck, comedic tomboy gorilla with a Brooklyn accent. In my opinion, when she first met Tarzan as a baby, it almost reminded me of Thumper from Bambi. I also like that she's very protective, concerned, and absolutely convinced that Tarzan cannot survive without her, even though Turk is a bit bossy at times. Finally, we come to Tarzan's elephant friend, Tantor, voiced by Wayne Knight, who has been in films like Space Jam, Toy Story 2, Dinotopia, Quest for the Ruby Sunstone, and of course, Jurassic Park. Tantor first met Tarzan while he was trying to retrieve a hair from one of the other elephants. Tantor can be a little paranoid at times, and he lets Turk step all over him most of the time. But when Tarzan is in danger, he steps up and tells her off. My favorite part that Tantor is involved with is when he uses a lampshade as a trumpet during the Trashing the Camp song, and when he and Turk jump into the ocean to save Tarzan, as well as using his trunk as submarine binoculars. And now, let's move on to my final words. Overall, Tarzan is a fantastic film to end the Disney Renaissance. And while Disney has made other great films before and after this movie, we really can't forget what this movie gave us while growing up during the late 90s. The animation is wonderful, the characters from Tarzan and Jane are sweet, the side characters from Turk and Tantor are really comical, and the villain, Clayton, is very clever and very sinister. Plus, the songs that Phil Collins made for this movie are absolutely amazing. So, if you guys have any fond Disney memories of your childhood, then be sure to keep your eye out for this movie. And with all that said, I am proud to award Tarzan with the highest rating of 100%. Well, here's to 200 episodes, and hopefully 100 more to come. Mustang power!